Before you do anything, like and subscribe.
We are back. Let's talk about Euphoria, a show on HBO Max. So I came late to the party when it comes to that show. It's in its second season. I smashed through the first season, and I'm all caught up on the second season. I don't know, we're maybe like, what are we, mid? Well, no, we're still early because we're only on episode 4 of the second season. The show is intense. Let me see if I got a brief synopsis here. An American adaptation of the Israeli show the same name, Euphoria, follows the troubled life of 17-year-old Rue, a drug addict fresh from rehab with no plans to stay clean. Circling in Rue's orbit are Jules, a transgender girl searching for where she belongs, Nate, a jock whose anger issues mask sexual insecurities, Chris, a football star who finds the adjustment from high school to college harder than expected, Cassie, whose sexual history continues to dog her, and Kat, a body-conscious teen exploring her sexuality. As the classmates struggle to make sense of their futures, the series tackles the teenage landscape of substance-enhanced parties and anxiety-ridden day-to-day life with empathy and candor. That was extremely hard to read. My vision is getting really bad for anything like up close. I don't know what's going on, but feels like after having COVID, like it's affected my vision. My vision hasn't been the same at all, or it could be getting older. But damn, my nigga's only 36. Either way, I'm having trouble reading shit that's close up. So reading that shit on this small phone was a struggle. Hopefully I didn't read that too fast. Hopefully you're already watching the show and you know this shit is fucking crazy, fucking intense. The way that these kids do drugs is not like, it doesn't feel like the way kids were doing drugs when I was in high school. For sure, that's like this was definitely someone's drug experience at a lot of high schools. Just wasn't my high school's drug experience to my knowledge. And the way that these kids dress would not fly at my high school for fucking sure. I mean, like, guys would fly, the girls dress sexy, but what these kids are getting away with at this high school is ridiculous. But let's get back to the drug use. It's hardcore drug use. Rue is on everything: fentanyl, heroin, cocaine. All the girls are sluts, basically. But that sounds harsh. But that's how it's played up. So I'm not trying to say that I'm not saying that all women are sluts, but the characters, half of the female characters on here are playing up the slut role, whether they're sluts or not. They're playing up the slutty role, even to the point that, like, you're not sure, like, the girls in the same crew weren't, they assumed that everyone in their crew weren't virgins because of just how much they were getting it in. But let's get back to the drug use. It's crazy. It's hardcore. It's not a kid show. It stars Zendaya. I'm hoping I said that right. Fresh off of Spider-Man, a few years removed from her Disney show, but fresh off of the Spider-Man franchise. But this is definitely the complete opposite in the sense of mood and crowd and audience. Like I said, it's not a kid show. I first got put on to this because my daughters were watching this and I didn't know how intense the show was. I don't know what made me start watching it. I guess I just kept hearing like good things about the show, and I checked out an episode not even knowing what to expect, and it was so crazy. I couldn't believe that my babies were were watching this, well, they're not babies, but they they definitely. I had to go pull them aside, like, yo, this is, don't expect high school to be like this. Do not think that like you're gonna be out here wilding like these kids, or that high school just in general is gonna be like this. Like I, you wouldn't be at this type of school. Basically, is what I was trying to tell my daughters. And they're just like, yeah, I get it. It's just a show, but I just think it's interesting. I was like, all right, cool. Because it's too late to you've already seen it. You're already well into. You've already seen the first season, the specials, and part of this second season before I got a glimpse of any of this. It is, it's it's a lot of sex, but it's more so about the mind state that drives each individual's sexual desires. I should say, like, everybody has like something that is like fucked up about them that makes them do the things that they do sexually. Like the jock whose name I mentioned earlier, his dad has like these closeted gay feelings, and it drives him to do this, have this side lifestyle. I don't want to break down each person for people who haven't seen the show, but each person has a certain thing that's happened in their backstory that makes them glorify either sex or drugs in a major way. So like everything is euphoric. Like there is a very like everything is spun in to be euphoric, and it's not necessarily highlighting the downside and or the negative side of the things that everyone is into, or I should say it doesn't do a good enough job at highlighting the negative of what could happen with everything that everyone is into. But again, we're only in the beginning of the second season, so we gotta have to, I guess, see how everybody's situation pans out, because it is very interesting to see how everyone is supposed to crash and burn, because the lifestyle that everyone is living is not sustainable, even in a TV sense. So eventually everyone is going to have to crash and burn just based off of the things that the past that everyone has led themselves down leading up to this point in the second season. Shit is just getting worse for each character. I'm trying to keep this talking about it without spoiling it for the people who haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, you should see it. But man, be prepared. There's a lot of dicks. Like they went OD with the dicks this season. I think somebody complained that there wasn't enough dicks the first season, and they've been OD with dick this second season. It's ridiculous. So if you can handle that, it's a great show. But it's definitely not for kids, and everything that D.A.R.E is worried about is definitely something that people should be worried about. It's not a show for kids. Don't let your kids watch it. I don't believe that, that because you see something in a movie or on TV or hear it in a song that you're gonna go out and do these things. But people do that. There's enough people that are influenced by these things that are just waiting. They're just waiting for something to push them over. Something to push them over the edge. Like the guy who shot up the movie theater, or the Batman movie, that was dressed as, I don't know, the Joker or the Riddler or whatever. Something was already wrong with him. He just needed something to push him over the edge. You get what I'm saying? And right now, these kids are so sensitive and just open to everything and being everything that we do have to kind of be more in tune with what they have going on. Like the things that black kids are doing these days are not the things that black kids were doing when I was younger in these numbers. Like these opioids and whatnot was white people shit. And they were doing it in large, and they were doing it for sure. And it's only now that it's like a crisis or an epidemic because it's like the opioids is done to white people like with crack has done to the black and brown or minorities and disenfranchised colored people and people of color, not colored people. Yeah, that's terrible. People of color. There we go. It covers everybody. People of color. But yeah, so the opioid thing and fentanyl for sure is doing terrible things to the suburbs and the higher class, and now it's become like D.A.R.E is fucking dead. D.A.R.E is like, I remember D.A.R.E being a huge thing when I was a kid. I was a D.A.R.E kid. I was the D.A.R.E kid of the year actually. They gave me a medal at the end of the year. I was a star student when it came to D.A.R.E, and I smoke so much weed now. Isn't that crazy? Got a cotton mouth right now. Hold on. Cotton mouth is getting to me right now, and I was a fucking D.A.R.E star. But anyway, the D.A.R.E program is still important. I see them out there trying to get it back popping, and they're going to make Euphoria basically the poster child, and rightfully so. So like, don't cancel the show, but don't let your kids watch the shit. It's a great motherfucking show, though. I can't wait for this week's episode to see what's going on next. But that's it. So let's take a break and we'll get into our next segment.